What's going on? I've just installed the Nameless Axleback with 4-inch tips and a 5-inch muffler in my 2017 WRX. I'll first show you the physical differences between the Nameless and stock, then a comparison of the sound. I'll go over the actual installation, and finally share my thoughts on the actual exhaust. Links to specific parts in the description. Let's get to it. It took me all but like 4 or 5 minutes to replace that, and I have one done and one hasn't been done yet, but I wanted to show you side by side before I change them both. The difference right there. I like the bigger tips so much better. This is stock right here. This is the Nameless 4-inch tips. I wanted to show you the difference in size between the stock Axleback. You can see the giant muffler that it has. Right next to it, obviously, the Nameless Axleback with a 5-inch muffler. So I expect a big difference in sound. Hopefully it's not too much, but yeah, and you can see the tips, the difference in the tips. And I'll go to 6,000 RPMs. So this is a cold start. The car's idling at about 1500 RPMs right now. And this is me speaking in a conversational tone over the sound of the exhaust. That was a cold start. And this is me speaking in a conversational tone inside the car over the sound of the exhaust. Idling at about 1500 RPMs right now. I took the first muffler out, and I want to show you real quick. I'll show you how to do the other one, but I want to show you how simple it is. It's just 2 bolts right there, a bushing here and a bushing there. That's it. And let me show you under the car what that looks like. There, that's where your 2 bolts go, right there. There is one bushing there and another bushing right there. Super easy. It could not be easier, really. We've taken out the 2 bolts right there. We got to take out that bushing right there. Well, we don't have to take out the bushing, but we have to slide the retaining pin there out of the bushing. And there's another one. Let me see if I can see from this angle. Right there. Okay, so that's all we're doing. Sliding the muffler out of those 2. And it comes right off once you do that. Very simple. if you have a hard time, if your car is older and deceased into the bushing, then you can use some WD-40 to kind of lubricate that. But you know, my car's fairly new and I don't have any issues. It slides right out, so I'm gonna leave it right there because I don't want it to drop on my camera. And I'm gonna go on the other side and do the other one and kind of pull them both out at the same time. That's it. Quick tip, if you're installing a used exhaust like I am, make sure that the mating surface is clean. And in my case, it isn't. It has little caked on pieces of the old gasket that was there from use. So grab yourself a blade or something like this, where you can scrape it as best as you can. And if it, you know, if it all doesn't come out like that, you could use a sander or something like that to get it as flat as possible to prevent exhaust leaks. At the very least, you should, you know, see, you can see it coming off right there. You should definitely clean the crap out of it as best as you can, at the very least, with a razor like this. I'm gonna go ahead and install this Nameless Axleback. So first thing, this ring right here will almost always stay there, so when you pull out the muffler, so make sure you pop that out because that's not gonna get used. Make sure you pop that out. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it up on the bushings first, and then I'll do that part. So what I'll do is I will do this one first, the back one. So kind of overdo it because the front one, if you don't overdo it, the front one won't reach. And then once you do that, you can reach the front one. Alright, so you just kind of push those into the bushings. So we're good there. So now we can do the gasket. Put in the gasket right there where it goes. And put in the bolts. Just finger tighten them first, and then I'm going to adjust the bushings. So your indication that the bushings are just about right is whenever it kind of just sits in the pocket there and it's kind of flush. So, you know, right about now. So I'm going to start tightening. Once I tighten it, then I'll look at the bushings again and make sure they're good. But we should be good. So if you're like me and you keep all of your stock parts because you never know when you need to bring the car back to stock, then you might find yourself needing to store this muffler. So before you store the muffler, make sure you clean it very well with a rag or something, you know, get some cleaner, clean all of the road grime and all the residue off of it, and then spray it with a little corrosion protectant. Like in my case, I'm using this S100 that I have left over from when I had a motorcycle, but any corrosion protectant will work. So in my case, I'll just spray a fine layer of this stuff all over the muffler and before I store it, and that'll protect it, you know, because you never know, this might be in storage for years. Just make sure you don't put anything actually inside the muffler itself, and obviously make sure you keep all of your hardware in a baggie with a box. Alright, so yeah, I got the Nameless Axleback installed in the car. It's got the 4-inch tips, it's got the 5-inch muffler. I went with a 5-inch muffler because I did not want my car to be overly loud. I didn't want it to be obnoxious. It's strictly a matter of preference, and you can consider that based on where you live. If you need, you know, your neighbors, where you work, things of that nature will determine how loud you want your car to be. I did not want it to be too loud, but I thought the stock was a little too quiet for my taste. So what I did is I installed the one with a muffler. You know, I really do like it. I really do like the way that the car sounds now. It has that little bit more aggressive exhaust note, especially when you turn on the car cold. It kind of lets you know it's there. So the thing about it is that before, with the stock exhaust, the car was very stealthy for a sports car. You know, like you could be going pretty fast and you can get on the RPMs and the car would barely let you know it was there. Well, now that's gone, and you know that, like I said, that's a matter of preference whether you want that or not. But you're not going to be able to punch it now and not it be known that you're punching it. Now, it's not as crazy and obnoxious as a lot of other exhausts. Not to say that they sound bad, but I mean, like when you're really, really loud and you sound like a motorcycle, then you can't hide. You just can't hide. People are going to know you're coming no matter which direction you're coming from. So when you install this Axleback, you know, you're not going to necessarily get that, but your stealth is going to be gone. It's got a very pleasant tone inside the car, and I'm driving around sports mode right now in the city just to kind of give you a sense of what the car sounds like. I'm about to switch to manual. That way you get a more sporty sense. So I just did it. I just switched to manual of what the car will sound like as you're shifting through the gears in the city, you know, not necessarily at the track or anything like that. So in case you were wondering, if you don't know, the Axleback installation, you do not have to tune the car. This is not going to add power or subtract power. It's gonna, your car's power is going to be the same. The mod is strictly for sound. It's strictly for your preference for sound. The car feels like a sports car, and now it sounds like a sports car. Not only that, but the installation was so easy. If you really needed to go back to stock for whatever reason, super easy to do. I mean, you could do it inside 20 minutes. So if you've been looking for an exhaust upgrade to your car, and you want something more than stock but not obnoxious, something that's not going to be very expensive, and it's going to sound pretty damn nice, and it's going to give you an aggressive note that is barely discernible when the car is just sitting at idle or at low RPMs, but it kind of comes to life when you're going around, you know, especially when transitioning from around 2,000 to 4,000 RPMs, and you want that to be your sweet spot. You don't necessarily want to be too stealthy. You want that sporty aspect to the sound of your car, and you want your car to sound like it's going through gears when it's going through your gears, or your ratios in the case of the CVT. If that's what you're looking for, then I think the Nameless with a muffler is a perfect choice for that. I was kind of nervous that the Axleback would have unnecessary drone, and it doesn't. You know, I drive it to work, and it's comfortable for me. It's not something that gets annoying or anything like that. So, but again, it's always a matter of preference and taste. Everyone will be different. To me personally, it does the job. It sounds great. It's not something that I'm gonna get tired of. And even on intelligent mode, which is usually your loudest mode, just because it sits at lower RPMs, it still sounds pretty good, which, you know, I'm on intelligent right now. So thanks a lot for watching. If this was useful to you, support the channel by liking the video and subscribe to see my future content. Take care.